Welcome back to Fantastic on Purpose. Today I am sharing, sort of an update of where I am and how I'm moving and growing and evolving. When I first started this podcast last November, I started it for me. It was a way for me to have an oxygen port, somewhere that I could speak my truth into existence without feeling like I was going to be attacked or, I wanted to share my voice and my experiences and my wisdom in a way that I felt safe enough to do so. I already was sharing my voice in different ways, different platforms, different avenues. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I had all the platforms. And I was sharing my voice, maybe not enough, maybe not in a way that I was going to be monetized or going to gain huge visibility and start getting some sort of payback for what I was sharing. When I started, I told myself I'm going to do this specifically for me so that I could speak my truth into existence in a way where I wasn't sharing my face. I was sharing via audio only. I was really organizing my thoughts and all of the things that I was going to be speaking about prior to hitting record, because I have a very, very fast-paced and kind of all over the place way of communicating when I don't have something in front of me keeping me on track and kind of guiding me into my next thing that I'm going to say. Today I have no script. I have nothing. It's never a script. I'm sharing from my life, but I do have organized notes that I generally have with me when I'm speaking audio only. Because if I were to just go and share an episode audio only about what was on my mind and what I was currently navigating and what was currently wanting to come through me, if I didn't have some sort of notes to organize that, then I would not make sense to the people that I'm speaking to. And I realized that means I was doing it for them too. Although I really thought that I started this podcast mainly for me, I'm a collective-oriented person. So it can be tricky sometimes when I'm trying to figure out what's serving me while also trying to serve others. Where I am presently is that I just don't have the desire to keep speaking into echo chambers and voids. I realize if I go back to my original words of I started this podcast for me, then it served its purpose, and I've gotten a lot of things moved in my system that needed to be moved and spoken into existence. And I don't feel like at this point trying to grow a podcast audience is aligned with me and my present journey, where I am and where I'm headed. I don't see me being able to invest the time, the energy, and the necessity of what's involved to grow a podcast. Like, the desire isn't there for me like I thought it was initially. Because, in order to be monetized, in something like a podcast, especially an audio only podcast. I'm aware enough of the system that it's going to take a lot more on my end, and what it involves to get monetized for a podcast, especially an audio only podcast, is just energy that I don't have. And the desire is not, it's not active enough in me to proceed with this particular thing, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what the future of Pamtastic on Purpose, the podcast channel on YouTube, entails. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if I'm going to keep it just to have, to share my life and things like that, and, things I'm excited about. Or if I'm just having a day and I'm feeling this right now, and maybe I'll change my mind next week and decide, I really want to talk about this, and then I'll just make an episode. I don't know. But I can no longer view my podcast as something that's actually nourishing me and giving back to me. In the beginning, it was, because I needed that outlet of expression. And now it has become another thing that I feel pressure about, that I feel frustration about, and that I don't feel is gaining any sort of traction that serves me in the long run in the way that I need it to. So I don't know. I'm sharing this because I guess I do care about the people that enjoy listening to me and that do gain anything from the things that I share. And I, to the best of my ability, without feeling like I am impeding in my own boundaries, if you will, being as transparent as I can about the journey. And for me, it just feels like my podcast journey is nearing its end. It's something I really wanted to try. I was very passionate about it for years prior to actually hitting record and sharing. But now it's seemingly just become another way to bring me grief and frustration and disappointment. So rather than allowing that to become the energy of my podcast, I'm trying to get ahead of it and just have this conversation about, like, it's either going to end or change drastically, or I don't know. I'm just at a I don't fucking know anymore place in the world, because my value is not being, I feel as though I'm giving away gold for free in a different way again, and it's, in the beginning it was okay because it was just helping me to find a place to express. But now that's not the case. So I guess I just don't feel like I want to be a person in the world trying to share things that I sincerely feel could help people, while also feeling like it doesn't matter because I just don't want to be another opinion in the ether that someone may not need, even if they think they do. I don't know how to explain really what I'm feeling, and this is generally why I have notes, because I can keep my thoughts intact and be clear. I'm rambling right now because I'm speaking freely and honestly and with no real plan of where this is going to go, or even necessarily why I'm sharing this information with all of you. I just feel tired of being another voice in the system of the internet world, because what's the point? I've learned over and over again that the only thing that's constant is change. I've learned that the only real transformations happen in the dark, not with groups, not with people helping. For me personally, the clearest transformations and most profound transformations generally happen when nobody's looking, in some of the most painful moments of my life. So I just don't feel like I want to be another person out in the world sharing my story that could potentially help somebody, while also recognizing that it could potentially stifle somebody too. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I don't know what my role is as far as sharing my voice anymore, or if I ever had one at all. Maybe that's the entire simple answer, is that our roles are just that, temporary.